You wake up after a full 8 hours of sleep, and you're still exhausted. You reach for your third cup of coffee by noon. By 3 in the afternoon, you can barely keep your eyes open. Sound familiar? If you're over 50 and you feel like your energy just disappeared, you are not imagining it. Your body is changing in ways most people are never told about. And the good news? Almost every single one of those changes can be addressed, naturally, without prescription medication, and without overhauling your entire life overnight. Stay with us, because what you're about to learn could completely change how you feel every single day. The science of energy after 50. To understand why fatigue hits harder after 50, you need to understand what's actually happening inside your body at the cellular level. Energy isn't just about sleep. It's a complex chain reaction involving your metabolism, your hormones, your gut, your brain, and even the trillions of bacteria living inside you. Every cell in your body contains tiny power plants called mitochondria. These microscopic structures convert the food you eat and the oxygen you breathe into usable energy, a molecule called ATP. After 50, the number and efficiency of your mitochondria naturally decline. Fewer power plants, less fuel, more fatigue. At the same time, hormone production begins shifting dramatically. Testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, cortisol, thyroid hormones. All of them change in ways that directly influence how energized or depleted you feel throughout the day. Add in declining sleep architecture, reduced nutrient absorption, slower circulation, and decades of accumulated lifestyle habits, and you have a perfect storm of fatigue. But understanding each piece of this puzzle is the first step to dismantling it. Poor sleep quality. Why it happens. Most people assume that if they're getting 7 or 8 hours of sleep, they're fine. But after 50, the quality of sleep changes fundamentally, even when the quantity looks the same on paper. The brain spends less time in the deep, restorative stages of sleep known as slow-wave sleep, and more time in lighter, fragmented stages where you can wake up at the slightest noise or discomfort. Melatonin, the hormone that signals your brain it's time to sleep, is produced in lower quantities as you age. This means it becomes harder to fall asleep, harder to stay asleep, and harder to reach the deepest, most restorative phases of the sleep cycle. How it affects the body. Deep sleep is when your body repairs itself. Growth hormone is released. Memories are consolidated. Immune cells are replenished. Without enough deep sleep, you wake up feeling physically unrestored, muscles aching, mind foggy, and mood flat. Chronic sleep deprivation also elevates cortisol, the stress hormone, which creates a vicious cycle. High cortisol makes deep sleep harder to achieve, which raises cortisol further. Natural ways to improve it. Begin by anchoring your sleep schedule. Wake up and go to bed at the same time every day, including weekends. Darkness is critical. Even small amounts of light exposure at night suppress melatonin. Use blackout curtains or a sleep mask. Lower your bedroom temperature to between 65 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit, as cooler rooms promote deeper sleep cycles. Avoid screens for at least 1 hour before bed. The blue light emitted by phones and tablets mimics daylight and tells your brain to stay awake. Try a short magnesium glycinate supplement. Research suggests it supports deeper, longer sleep in older adults. And limit alcohol. While it makes you feel drowsy, it actively disrupts REM sleep and leaves you more fatigued the next morning. Vitamin B12 deficiency. Why it happens. Vitamin B12 is essential for producing red blood cells, maintaining the nervous system, and converting food into energy. After 50, the body's ability to absorb B12 from food declines significantly. This happens because the stomach produces less hydrochloric acid with age, and B12 requires acid to be separated from food proteins before it can be absorbed. Additionally, many people over 50 take medications like antacids or metformin, both of which are known to further reduce B12 absorption. How it affects the body. Low B12 leads to a condition called megaloblastic anemia, where red blood cells become large, misshapen, and ineffective at carrying oxygen. The result is fatigue, weakness, brain fog, numbness or tingling in the hands and feet, and even mood disturbances. Many people chalk these symptoms up to just getting older, when in reality, a simple blood test can detect and correct a B12 deficiency quickly. Natural ways to improve it. Increase your intake of B12-rich foods. Beef liver, clams, sardines, eggs, and dairy products are among the highest sources. However, given reduced absorption with age, many health professionals recommend sublingual B12 supplements, tablets that dissolve under the tongue and enter the bloodstream directly, bypassing the digestive process. Methylcobalamin is the form most easily used by the body. Have your levels tested annually, especially if you follow a plant-based diet, as B12 is found almost exclusively in animal products. Vitamin D deficiency. Why it happens. Vitamin D isn't just a vitamin. It behaves more like a hormone, interacting with receptors in nearly every cell in the body. After 50, the skin becomes less efficient at synthesizing vitamin D from sunlight. People also tend to spend more time indoors, wear more sunscreen, and live in latitudes with limited sun exposure. The result is a widespread deficiency that the majority of older adults experience without even realizing it. How it affects the body. Vitamin D plays a crucial role in immune function, bone health, muscle strength, and mood regulation. Its link to fatigue is direct. Vitamin D is involved in the production of serotonin and dopamine, the brain chemicals responsible for motivation and alertness. Low vitamin D is also associated with muscle weakness, aches and pains that make movement feel exhausting, and an increased risk of depression, all of which compound fatigue. Natural ways to improve it. Aim for 15 to 20 minutes of midday sun exposure on the arms and legs several times per week, without sunscreen during that window. Foods rich in vitamin D include fatty fish like salmon and mackerel, egg yolks, and fortified dairy products. Most adults over 50 benefit from supplementing with 1,000 to 2,000 IU of vitamin D3 daily, taken with a meal containing fat for optimal absorption. Pair it with vitamin K2, which works synergistically with D3 to direct calcium to bones rather than arteries. Chronic dehydration. Why it happens. One of the most overlooked causes of fatigue in people over 50 is dehydration, and what makes it particularly insidious is that the thirst mechanism weakens with age. Younger adults feel thirsty well before they're dehydrated. After 50, by the time you feel thirsty, you're already significantly dehydrated. The kidneys also become less efficient at conserving water, and many medications common in this age group are diuretics, meaning they pull additional fluid from the body. How it affects the body. Water is involved in virtually every bodily process. Nutrient transport, temperature regulation, joint lubrication, digestion, and cellular energy production. Even mild dehydration, just 1 to 2% of body weight, is enough to cause measurable fatigue, reduced concentration, headaches, and mood changes. Blood also becomes slightly thicker when dehydrated, making the heart work harder to circulate it, which contributes to a feeling of physical heaviness and tiredness. Natural ways to improve it. Stop waiting for thirst. Instead, establish a proactive hydration routine. Start your morning with a large glass of water before coffee or food. Keep a water bottle visible throughout the day as a constant reminder. Set a phone alarm if needed. Aim for at least 8 cups, around 2 liters, of water daily, and increase this during hot weather or physical activity. Herbal teas, broths, and water-rich foods like cucumbers, watermelon, and celery all contribute to your daily fluid intake. Limit alcohol and caffeinated beverages in the afternoon, as both promote fluid loss. Physical inactivity. Why it happens. It seems counterintuitive. If you're already exhausted, why would moving more give you more energy? But the relationship between physical activity and energy is one of the most well-established in all of health science. After 50, many people become less active due to joint pain, busy schedules, or simply falling out of healthy habits. And the less they move, the more fatigued they feel, creating a downward spiral that's hard to escape. How it affects the body. Regular physical activity increases the number and efficiency of mitochondria, those cellular power plants mentioned earlier. It improves cardiovascular function so the heart delivers oxygen more effectively to tissues. It boosts serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine, neurotransmitters that regulate energy, mood, and alertness. Exercise also improves sleep quality, reduces inflammation, and helps regulate blood sugar. All factors that directly impact how energized you feel each day. Natural ways to improve it. The goal isn't to become an athlete overnight. Start with a 10-minute walk each morning. Research shows that even short bouts of movement, as little as 10 minutes, can produce a measurable improvement in energy levels for hours afterward. Gradually build up to 30 minutes of moderate activity most days. Include strength training at least twice per week. After 50, muscle mass naturally declines at a rate of about 1% per year, a process called sarcopenia. Strength training is the single most effective way to counteract it. Even bodyweight exercises like squats, wall push-ups, and resistance band work can make an enormous difference. Poor diet and blood sugar instability. Why it happens. The foods most people eat after 50, processed grains, packaged snacks, sugary beverages, and fast food, create a pattern of blood sugar swings that directly drives fatigue. When you eat high glycemic foods, blood sugar spikes rapidly. The pancreas releases a surge of insulin to bring it back down. Blood sugar then often drops too low, triggering the brain's alarm system. Fatigue, irritability, difficulty concentrating, and intense cravings for more sugar. This cycle repeats throughout the day, and over time it depletes energy at every level. How it affects the body. Beyond blood sugar, nutritional deficiencies accumulate through decades of poor dietary choices. Iron deficiency leads to anemia. Low magnesium impairs sleep and muscle function. Insufficient omega-3 fatty acids drive inflammation. The gut microbiome, which plays a critical role in nutrient absorption, immune regulation, and even mood, becomes less diverse and less efficient on a diet low in fiber and rich in processed foods. Natural ways to improve it. Anchor every meal around protein, healthy fat, and fiber. These three macronutrients slow digestion and stabilize blood sugar, preventing the energy crashes that follow high carbohydrate meals. Prioritize eggs, fatty fish, legumes, leafy greens, nuts, seeds, and olive oil. Reduce refined carbohydrates and sugar, not necessarily to zero, but significantly. Eat breakfast within an hour of waking to set a stable metabolic rhythm for the day. Snack on whole foods like a handful of almonds and an apple rather than processed alternatives. Over time, these changes recalibrate how the body manages fuel, and the difference in sustained energy is profound. Chronic stress and mental fatigue. Why it happens. Modern life after 50 often comes with a compounding stack of psychological stressors. Career pressures, financial responsibilities, aging parents, health concerns, and the emotional weight of watching life change in ways that feel increasingly beyond your control. The brain's stress response system, the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, was designed for short-term threats. When stress becomes chronic and unrelenting, the system becomes dysregulated, producing abnormal cortisol patterns that disrupt sleep, suppress immune function, and drain mental energy. How it affects the body. Chronic stress accelerates cellular aging by shortening telomeres, the protective caps on DNA strands. It depletes key neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, leading to a persistent flatness of mood and motivation. It also drives inflammation throughout the body, a state increasingly linked to virtually every major fatigue-related condition. Mental fatigue is just as physiologically real as physical fatigue. Sustained cognitive effort consumes glucose, depletes neurotransmitter reserves, and produces measurable changes in brain function. Natural ways to improve it. Stress management isn't a luxury, it's physiology. Begin with the most evidence-backed intervention available: consistent physical movement. Even a 20-minute walk in nature significantly reduces cortisol levels. Mindfulness meditation, even 10 minutes per day, has been shown in clinical studies to lower inflammatory markers and improve self-reported energy. Breathing exercises that activate the parasympathetic nervous system, particularly box breathing, inhale 4 counts, hold 4, exhale 4, hold 4, can shift the body out of a stress response within minutes. Consider adaptogenic herbs like ashwagandha and rhodiola rosea, both of which have clinical evidence supporting their ability to reduce cortisol and improve stress resilience. And don't underestimate the power of social connection. Chronic loneliness is as physiologically damaging as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Hormonal changes. Why it happens. Hormonal shifts after 50 affect men and women differently, but both experience significant changes that directly impact energy. In women, the transition through perimenopause and menopause brings declining estrogen and progesterone. In men, testosterone levels decline at approximately 1% per year from the mid-30s onward, with the cumulative effect becoming pronounced after 50. For both, thyroid function often becomes sluggish, a condition called subclinical hypothyroidism that frequently goes undetected on standard tests. How it affects the body. Estrogen plays a critical role in mitochondrial function, sleep quality, and mood stability. When estrogen drops, women often experience disrupted sleep, hot flashes that interrupt rest, increased anxiety, and brain fog, all of which devastate energy levels. Low testosterone in men reduces muscle mass, increases body fat, impairs sleep quality, decreases motivation, and produces a general sense of fatigue and flatness. A sluggish thyroid, even slightly below optimal, slows metabolism, causes weight gain, worsens sleep, and creates persistent tiredness that no amount of rest seems to cure. Natural ways to improve it. Start by getting a comprehensive hormone panel, not just TSH for thyroid, but free T3 and T4, sex hormone-binding globulin, testosterone, estradiol, and DHEAS. Many people find their hormone levels are technically within range, but at the lowest end, which is far from optimal. Lifestyle factors powerfully influence hormone levels. Resistance training boosts testosterone, reducing refined carbohydrates improves insulin sensitivity, which supports hormonal balance, and quality sleep is essential for growth hormone release. Phytoestrogen-rich foods like flaxseed and fermented soy may support estrogen balance in women. Discuss your specific panel results with a healthcare provider trained in functional or integrative medicine for personalized guidance. How daily habits quietly drain your energy. Beyond the major categories of fatigue, there are dozens of smaller daily habits that accumulate into significant energy drains, and most people never connect them to how they feel. Morning caffeine timing. Reaching for coffee immediately upon waking is one of the most common and counterproductive habits after 50. Cortisol naturally peaks in the first 30 to 60 minutes after waking, and caffeine during this window blunts its effect. The result is that you build caffeine tolerance faster. Cortisol never rises as high as it should, and you need more coffee to feel the same effect. Wait 90 minutes after waking before your first cup. Prolonged sitting. Extended sedentary periods, more than 2 consecutive hours without movement, cause blood to pool in the lower extremities, reduce circulation to the brain, and trigger a fatigue response. The fix is simple but requires intention. Stand and walk for 2 to 3 minutes every hour. A short walk to the kitchen, a brief stretching routine, or even standing while on a phone call makes a measurable difference. Skipping breakfast or eating late at night. Both practices destabilize blood sugar in ways that create afternoon energy crashes and poor morning alertness. A protein-rich breakfast within an hour of waking sets a stable metabolic foundation. Eating large meals within 2 hours of bedtime forces the digestive system to remain active during what should be restorative sleep, reducing sleep quality and leaving you less refreshed in the morning. Irregular meal timing. The body's circadian rhythm governs far more than sleep. It also controls digestion, metabolism, and hormone release. Eating at irregular times confuses these internal clocks, leading to unpredictable energy levels throughout the day. Anchoring meals to consistent times, even on weekends, helps synchronize the body's metabolic rhythms and produces more stable, predictable energy. When these small habits begin to shift in the right direction, something subtle but powerful starts to happen. Your energy no longer feels random or unpredictable. Instead, it becomes more stable, more reliable, and easier to manage throughout the day. You may notice that you're not relying on quick fixes as often. There's less need for constant caffeine, fewer sudden crashes, and a more consistent sense of alertness. These changes don't come from one major adjustment. They come from aligning multiple small behaviors that support how your body is designed to function. Over time, your body begins to respond differently. Not because something new was added, but because unnecessary strain was removed. Understanding where your energy is being drained is the first step toward changing how you feel every day. The patterns you follow, the habits you repeat, and the choices you make all shape your energy more than you might realize. When those patterns begin to work with your body instead of against it, everything starts to feel more balanced. On this channel, we focus on simple, science-based ways to help you stay active, strong, and healthy after 50, without complicated routines or unrealistic advice. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more practical tips that you can actually use in your daily life. Stay consistent, stay aware, and keep making small changes that move you forward.